The crash in Sector 9. Space was quiet. Too quiet. Leo Hart sat alone inside his old repair ship, orbiting near the edge of the Sector 9 asteroid belt. He had been working in deep space for years, fixing broken satellites and forgotten machines. Most days were boring, routine, cold. But today was different. A signal had come through his console. It was weak, almost like a whisper, a few strange words in a language he couldn't understand, followed by static. But what caught Leo's attention wasn't the signal. It was the warning tag stamped on it. Do not approach. Class X threat. Alien origin. Leo stared at the message. He knew what the rules were. Sector 9 was restricted, full of floating rocks, space junk, and government secrets. No one went there without a military escort. But something about the signal didn't feel like a threat. It felt like someone was crying for help. His fingers hovered over the controls. Then, without saying a word, he turned the ship toward the source. The journey was rough. Asteroid fields smashed against his shields. His ship shook, lights flickering. Any normal pilot would have turned back. But Leo wasn't normal. He had seen things out here, things others refused to believe. He trusted his gut, and right now his gut said someone needed him. After an hour, he reached it. A broken alien ship floated in the dark, half crushed by a massive asteroid. The hull was scorched. Engines dead. Parts of it looked melted, like it had been attacked. But there was something else. A pod. Small, hidden under metal debris. It was glowing faintly. Leo suited up and flew out. His boots touched the wreck. Silent. Still. He moved carefully, brushing dust off the pod. It had a smooth silver surface, marked with strange symbols. Inside, behind a thin layer of glass, was a girl. Not human. She had glowing skin, a light purple hue, and long white hair floating gently in the pod's zero gravity. Her face was calm, almost peaceful, but her body looked weak, like she hadn't moved in days, or weeks. Leo pressed his hand on the pod. No reaction. But then, her eyes opened. Bright silver eyes stared into his. She didn't speak, just looked scared, confused. And then she raised one shaky hand and tapped the glass. Tap, tap, tap. Leo's heart raced. "Don't worry," he whispered, knowing she couldn't hear. "I've got you." Using his tools, he carefully unlocked the emergency hatch on the pod. Air hissed out. The pod opened slowly. The girl gasped for breath, her body trembling. He caught her gently as she fell forward. She was lighter than he expected. Warmer, too. Back on his ship, Leo placed her on the medical bed and started scanning her. Most of the readings made no sense. Her heart had 3 beats. Her blood wasn't red. It shimmered silver under the light. Still, she was alive. She opened her eyes again, tried to speak. Her voice was soft, like wind through leaves. "Aurelia," she said. Leo blinked. "What?" She touched her chest. "Aurelia," she repeated. "Your name?" he asked. She nodded slowly. He smiled a little. "I'm Leo. Leo Hart. Welcome to, my ship. It's not much, but you're safe here." Aurelia looked around, clearly confused by her surroundings. She tried to sit up, but winced in pain. Her arm was injured. Leo gently placed his hand on her shoulder. "Easy. You need rest." Then she said something else. It wasn't English. It wasn't anything Leo had heard before. But one word came through clearly. "Danger." Leo frowned. "What do you mean? Who's in danger?" She grabbed his arm. Her touch was strong now. Her eyes filled with fear. "They are coming." Just then, a loud beep echoed from his console. A second signal. Not a distress call. A scan. Something was looking for the crash site. It wasn't from Earth. It wasn't human. Leo looked at the girl, then back at the screen. He had just rescued someone the galaxy wanted dead. And now, They were coming for both of them. The princess with silver blood. Leo Hart had rescued her. But now, the real question was, who had he rescued? Aurelia was unlike anything he had seen in all his years working deep space. Her body was fragile, yet carried an energy that pulsed softly under her skin. Her blood shimmered silver. Her presence, even in silence, felt powerful. Leo sat by the medbed, watching her sleep. Her breathing was steady now, but she still looked weak. Her clothes were torn, and the strange glowing mark on her wrist flickered like a broken signal light. He didn't touch it. Something about that mark felt sacred. His ship's systems beeped again. Not an attack. Just motion. Someone, or something, had scanned the crash site where he'd found her. The scan was quiet, clean, professional. Whoever was watching them didn't want to be seen. Leo moved to his control panel and activated the cloaking shield. His ship disappeared from radar, blending into the cold rocks of space. It would only buy him a little time. He turned back to Aurelia. "What did I get myself into?" he muttered. Suddenly, her eyes opened. She sat up fast, too fast, and nearly collapsed again. Leo rushed to catch her. Hey, easy," he said, steadying her. "You're safe. For now." Aurelia looked at him, confused at first, and then relieved. Her eyes scanned the small room. Dusty panels, broken tech, old Earth posters on the wall. It wasn't royal, or clean, or advanced, but it was warm, and it smelled like metal and coffee. She placed a hand on her chest. "Aurelia," she whispered again. Leo nodded. "Yeah, I remember. I'm Leo. I pulled you out of that wreck." She looked down at the soft bandage wrapped around her arm. Her fingers touched it gently. Then she stared at him, eyes narrowing. "Why?" she asked. Leo blinked. "Why? What? Why help me?" He scratched the back of his neck. "Honestly, I don't know. Maybe because no one else would have." She stared at him a long time, quiet, then said, "You are human. Last I checked." She tilted her head. "But you have no command, no army. You are not leader." Leo chuckled. "I'm a mechanic. I fix things. I'm nobody important." Aurelia didn't smile, but her eyes softened. She looked down at her hand, where the glowing mark pulsed again. Leo finally asked, "What is that? On your wrist?" She hesitated. Then, slowly, she spoke. "I am Highborn, daughter of the Selenary line, protector of the Void Seal, princess of the Star Throne." Leo stared. "You're a princess?" Aurelia nodded. "From where?" She pointed upward, past the ceiling. "From the heart of the Spire worlds. We ruled before your son was born." Leo sat back, stunned. "Okay, so I didn't just rescue an alien. I rescued the alien." But Aurelia didn't look proud. She looked sad. "They wanted me dead," she said. "Who?" "My people." Leo was silent. She continued, "Our laws are pure. No weakness, no emotion, only power. I wanted change. I spoke of peace, of mercy." She looked away. "They called me broken." Leo felt something in his chest. Not fear, not even shock, something closer to understanding. "They crashed her ship. They gave orders. No survivors." Leo leaned forward. "Then why was there a distress signal? Why did it reach me?" Aurelia frowned. "It wasn't a distress signal. It was a warning. They left it behind so no one would help me." Leo froze. He hadn't followed a cry for help. He had walked into a trap. But somehow, he had done the one thing no one expected. He helped her anyway. Aurelia's voice turned quiet. "You saved me. And now, they will come for you too." Leo stood. "Then we'll be ready." She looked at him with surprise. "You would fight?" He gave a small, dry laugh. "I don't even know who they are yet, but I've fought debt collectors, space pirates, and once a wild AI toaster. I think I'll manage. She didn't understand the joke, but she smiled. Just a little. Leo pulled out a piece of old tech, a translator chip. Maybe this'll help, so we don't have to guess what the other's saying. Aurelia touched the chip and closed her eyes. It glowed softly. Then she nodded. Yes. Now, better. Good, Leo said, because we're gonna need to talk. A lot. Suddenly, an alert blared through the ship. Motion detected. Something had entered the sector. Leo ran to the panel. 2 ships, small, fast, armed. They weren't broadcasting any identity signal. Aurelia stood beside him, eyes sharp again. They are not here to talk, she said. Leo looked at her. Then let's not make it easy for them. Hunted by stars. Space is not empty. It's full of eyes. Leo Hart had always believed he was alone out here, floating in a ship held together by tape, wires, and hope. But now he wasn't alone. And he wasn't invisible anymore. The scanners buzzed again. 2 ships, fast and silent, had entered the asteroid field. Leo didn't recognize their design. Sharp wings, black glass panels, almost like birds of prey. They moved with deadly grace. No lights, no signal, just purpose. He turned to Aurelia. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Her face said everything. They're here for you, Leo said. Aurelia shook her head slowly. They are here for both of us now. Leo looked at the navigation screen. The asteroid belt they were in was wide, full of dead rock and drifting wreckage. Perfect for hiding, and perfect for ambushes. He switched the ship to manual controls. Hold on, he said. We're not going down without a little dance. The ship jerked forward, twisting between broken satellites and old mining equipment. Leo flew low, using space debris as cover. The enemy ships followed, silent and smooth, weaving through the rocks like sharks. Aurelia stood behind him, gripping the railing. Her body was still weak, but her eyes glowed, bright silver with something ancient behind them. They will not speak, she said. Only kill. Leo nodded. Then we'll make them earn it. He pulled the ship hard left. One of the enemy ships clipped a floating satellite and spun out briefly. Not destroyed, but slowed. Ha! Leo shouted. Still got it. The second ship opened fire. Thin red beams cut through space. One hit the outer wing. Sparks flew. Alarms screamed. Leo gritted his teeth. One more shot like that, and we're toast. Aurelia closed her eyes and placed her hand on the wall of the ship. The lights flickered, then glowed blue. Systems that hadn't worked in years suddenly came alive. Leo's eyes widened. Did you just? I connected to your core system, she said. Very simple, but clever. Leo laughed. Thanks. I built it from trash. Aurelia touched her wrist. The mark glowed brighter. We cannot outrun them forever, she said. But we can lure them. Lure them where? She pointed to the edge of the map. There is a graveyard of old ships, forgotten by time. My people call it the Rust Sea. Leo smirked. Sounds romantic. It is not. Perfect. He turned the ship toward the graveyard. Behind them, the 2 hunters followed. As they flew, Aurelia sat down at the back console. She connected her glowing hand to the interface. The ship's broken weapons lit up, charged by her energy. Old Earth tech, powered by alien royalty. Leo glanced back. You sure that's safe? No, she said calmly. The Rust Sea appeared ahead. Thousands of destroyed ships floating in silence. Twisted metal, shattered glass, old war machines frozen in time. It was like flying through the bones of a forgotten war. Leo guided his ship into the wreckage. They became shadows among ghosts. The hunters followed, but slower now, more careful. Leo turned off the engines and let the ship drift. Time to disappear. They floated in the graveyard, silent, waiting, breathing. Then a beam of red light passed just inches from their ship. Too close. Aurelia whispered, "They are scanning." Leo nodded. "Then we give them something to find." He opened the cargo bay and launched an old decoy drone. It zipped away, bright and noisy. The hunters took the bait. They split. One chased the drone. The other came straight toward Leo. "Damn it," he said. "They're learning." He looked at Aurelia. "How strong are you right now?" She frowned. "Not strong enough." "Okay," he said. "Then it's me." Before she could argue, he grabbed his plasma cutter, his tool belt, and an old backpack with scraps of explosives he'd collected over the years. Nothing fancy. Nothing approved. Just enough. He climbed into the service hatch. Aurelia reached out and caught his hand. "You do not have to die for me." Leo looked into her eyes. "I'm not planning on dying. I'm planning on surviving loud." He dropped down onto one of the floating wrecks outside. The enemy ship hovered above, scanning. Leo set the charges on the nearby wreckage, then lit up his plasma cutter. It burned bright, drawing attention. The ship turned toward him. Leo smiled. "Come get me. The enemy dove." Leo jumped off the wreck and hit the detonator. Boom! The explosion tore through the floating junk. Metal flew in all directions. The enemy ship clipped a spinning engine and spiraled out of control, slamming into the side of an old battleship. Leo floated, spinning slowly, caught in the force of the blast. His oxygen meter blinked red. His vision blurred. Before he passed out, he saw her. Aurelia. Her eyes glowing, her hand reaching for him, her voice soft in the void. "I will not lose you." The first strike. Silence. Deep, endless silence. Leo floated through space, unconscious. His body turned slowly, like a leaf in the wind. No sound, no light, just the slow blink of his oxygen meter. Red, red, red. Inside the ship, Aurelia moved faster than she ever had. Her hands flew across the controls. Her energy had fully connected with Leo's system now. Wires responded to her thoughts. Old screens lit up with her touch. Machines built by human hands followed the mind of an alien princess. She found him, floating near a shattered warship, his oxygen almost gone, his heartbeat weak. She opened the hatch. With one hand glowing and the other gripping the rail, she reached into the void and pulled him back. The moment his boots touched the ship's floor, she closed the doors. Oxygen rushed in. Alarms silenced. Leo collapsed to the ground, eyes barely open. "Hey, I got one." Aurelia knelt beside him. Her hands glowed bright silver. She pressed them to his chest. "Stay with me," she said. He tried to smile. "You're bossy for a princess, and you are foolish for a hero," she whispered. Her light moved into his body. Not magic, not healing. Something deeper, something ancient. A power her people once used to bring stars back to life. For a moment, Leo stopped breathing. Then, he gasped. Color returned to his face. His heart stabilized. His eyes opened. What did you do?" he asked. "I gave you part of my light. Are you okay?" "I will be," she lied. Leo sat up, still dizzy. Aurelia looked weaker now. Her hands trembled. "We need to go," he said. "No," she answered. "They are not done. One ship remains, and this time, they won't chase. They'll strike." Leo looked out the window. The last enemy ship hovered above the graveyard. Silent. Waiting. Like a vulture over a dying animal. But it didn't attack. Not yet. It was watching. Leo frowned. What are they waiting for? Aurelia's voice grew cold. Reinforcements. Leo checked the radar. 5 more blips had appeared, still distant, but closing in. "Then we make our stand," he said. "We cannot fight them all." Leo stood. "We fight one. Hard enough to make the others think twice." He ran to the back room. A small cargo bay filled with parts, wires, and scraps from dozens of jobs. He opened a locked case. Inside, a prototype weapon he built years ago. Never tested. Unstable. Powerful. He called it the Roar. Aurelia raised an eyebrow. "What is that?" "Something stupid," he replied. "But maybe stupid is what we need." While Leo prepared the weapon, Aurelia sat quietly, eyes closed. In her mind, voices whispered, memories of her people, her palace, her betrayal. The council had called her a threat, a traitor, a weak link in a perfect chain. But they were wrong. Mercy was not weakness. Leo returned with the weapon, heavy and glowing with unstable energy. "This thing could blow us up," he said casually. "Then aim well," Aurelia replied. Leo smirked. "You're getting the hang of sarcasm." Together, they launched from the hiding spot. The enemy ship moved instantly, firing energy blasts across the wreckage. Aurelia raised a glowing shield, deflecting the first few hits. Leo aimed the Roar. One shot. The weapon screamed. A beam of white-hot energy burst forward, slamming into the enemy ship's wing. Metal tore. Fire erupted. The ship stumbled, but didn't fall. It turned, fast and angry. Again, Aurelia shouted. Leo charged the weapon. "Takes time." The enemy ship flew toward them. Aurelia stepped forward. She raised her hand. Her mark glowed like a star. She whispered something in her ancient tongue, and a wave of force exploded from her palm. The enemy ship flipped sideways, spinning through space like a toy. It slammed into a wrecked freighter and exploded in fire and metal. For a moment, just one, they had peace. Aurelia dropped to one knee, breathing hard. Leo ran to her. "You okay?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, but they will not stop." He looked at the radar. The other ships were getting closer, too close. "We can't take 5 more. Then we do not fight," she said. Leo blinked. "You just said. We vanish." She grabbed his hand and pulled him to the ship's core, where alien tech now fused with human wires. "There is something I can do. One time only. But it will hide us. Completely." "At what cost?" She looked at him. "I won't remember you." Leo froze. "What?" "I can erase our presence by erasing myself from the memory network. If they cannot detect me, they will leave. But I will forget. Everything. Even you." Leo's throat tightened. "There has to be another way." "There is not. Your world is not ready for war. I will protect it, even if I forget why." Leo stepped closer. "Then don't forget." He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small metal ring, something he built from scraps. No real use, just something human. He placed it in her hand. "Keep this," he said, "so if you forget me, maybe your heart won't." Aurelia held the ring tightly. Then she touched the core. Light exploded. Leo fell back. Everything went white. And then, darkness. The first strike. When mercy meets fire, something stronger than war is born. Space was still burning. The remains of the enemy scout ship floated in pieces, glowing orange against the cold black of the stars. Broken metal drifted like falling snow. One ship down. Many more to come. Inside Leo's ship, the lights flickered. Energy levels were dropping fast. The damage from the last attack had hit the power core. It was holding, but barely. Leo stood in the cockpit, holding onto the railing as the ship swayed with gravity fluctuations. Aurelia sat nearby, eyes closed, her glowing hands resting on the console. She was feeding her energy directly into the systems, keeping them alive longer than any machine should have lasted. "How long can you keep this up?" Leo asked, his voice low. "Not long," she whispered, "but long enough for what comes next." Leo didn't like the sound of that. "We need a plan," he said. "They're not done. I saw the formation. They're preparing a strike team." Aurelia slowly opened her eyes. There was something different in her gaze now. Not fear, not pain, something colder. "They will not stop," she said. "They believe mercy is weakness, and weakness must be erased." Leo leaned against the wall. "You really were royalty, huh? If they hate you this much, you must have shaken something big." Aurelia nodded. "I asked questions. I showed compassion. I refused to order the death of an enemy who had already surrendered. So they called you a traitor. They called me human." Leo looked at her for a long time. "That's not an insult," he said softly. She blinked, surprise. No one had ever said that to her before. Not with kindness. Outside the window, 5 enemy ships appeared, hovering just outside of firing range. Sleek, dark, built for war. They didn't attack right away. They were waiting. Leo narrowed his eyes. "They're not here to finish the job. They're here to take you alive." Aurelia didn't speak. She didn't have to. She already knew. "They will board us," she said. "They want to bring me back, to put me on trial, and end me in front of the high seat. As an example." Leo stepped forward. "Then we don't let them." He ran to the back of the ship and unlocked his emergency locker. Inside, an old EVA suit, a prototype energy rifle, and a handful of grenades he'd built from spare parts and bad ideas. Aurelia followed, leaning against the wall for support. "You are not a soldier." "Nope," Leo said, strapping the gear on. "But neither are you. And here we are." Suddenly, the ship rocked. Red lights flared. They were being pulled in. Tractor beams. Leo ran to the control panel. "They're locking us down. We're about to be boarded." He turned to Aurelia. "If I can hold the entry chamber, can you get to the escape pod?" She stared at him, then said, "You expect me to run. I expect you to live." She stepped closer. "And if I stay?" Leo gave a small smile. "Then I fight harder." The ship trembled again. A loud clang echoed through the hull. They were here. Leo moved to the entry corridor. The door hissed shut behind him. He took position behind a crate, rifle ready, breathing steady. Outside, the enemy boarding team docked. 5 soldiers in dark armor, emotionless helmets, long rifles. They stepped in, silent, precise, deadly. Leo fired first. A burst of plasma tore through the narrow hall. 2 soldiers went down instantly. The others scattered, returning fire. The ship shook with every hit. Leo ducked behind cover, panting. He threw a grenade. It exploded in a flash of electricity, frying the systems in their suits. 3 more dropped, but 1 remained. This one was different. He wore a symbol on his chest, a royal crest, twisted and blackened. He raised a blade, glowing red, and walked toward Leo slowly. Leo fired again. Nothing. The soldier blocked the shot with his weapon, moving closer. Leo reached for another grenade. Too late. The soldier struck. Leo crashed against the wall, weapon falling from his hand, blood in his mouth, ribs cracked, vision blurry. He looked up and saw the blade raise for the final strike. But it never fell. Aurelia stood behind the soldier, her hand glowing like a star about to collapse. She touched the back of his helmet and whispered a single word in her ancient language. The soldier froze, then screamed. His armor cracked from within. Energy exploded out of his chest. He dropped to his knees and fell. Silence returned. Leo coughed, barely able to breathe. What did you do?" Aurelia looked down at her hands, almost afraid of herself. "I showed him the truth," she said. "What truth?" "That we were wrong. That everything they believe is broken." Leo reached out. She helped him up. "They'll send more," he said. "Stronger." "Then we leave," she answered. "But not in the way they expect." She led him to the escape pod chamber, but instead of entering it, she activated something hidden beneath the floor. A secret capsule. Alien tech. Invisible to all scans. "This is my family's shame," she said. "A device made for cowards. It erases us completely. No signals. No trace. We disappear." Leo stared at it. "And what's the price?" She looked at him. "Memories." He shook his head. "No way. It's the only way we survive. Not if it means losing you." Aurelia placed something in his hand. His ring, the one he gave her, now glowing faintly with her light. "Even if I forget, this will remember." Leo felt his throat tighten. The pod opened. They stepped in together. Aurelia touched the crystal core. A flash of light swallowed them whole. And just like that, they were gone. Between mercy and revenge, when memory fades, what remains is the truth of the soul. The stars were silent again. The escape pod floated quietly through the endless black, hidden from every sensor, every signal, every enemy. It was a bubble of stillness between two galaxies that had forgotten how to be kind. Leo Hart opened his eyes. His head throbbed. His vision blurred. He sat up slowly and looked around. White walls, soft blue lights, humming air systems. Not his ship. Not any ship he knew. Then he saw her, Aurelia, sitting across from him. She was staring at him, expression calm, distant, polite, but empty. "You're awake," she said. Leo smiled, weakly. "Yeah, so are you." She tilted her head slightly. "Have we met?" The smile faded from his face. She didn't remember him. Not his name, not his face, not the war, not the kindness, not the sacrifice. Nothing. Leo swallowed hard. "You don't remember any of it." Aurelia looked confused. "Should I?" He looked down at his hand. The ring. The one he gave her. It was still there, glowing softly in her palm, like a heartbeat from a forgotten world. He pointed to it. "That was mine." "This?" she asked, gently holding it up. "I found it in the pod with me. I assumed it had meaning." "It did," Leo said, voice quiet. "It still does." Aurelia looked at him, not unkindly, but without recognition. "I'm sorry. I feel something when I look at you, but I don't know why." Leo nodded slowly. "It's okay. You did what you had to do." A pause. Then she whispered, "What did I forget?" Leo stared out the small window of the pod, into the stars. "Everything," he said. "But mostly, you forgot why you ran. And who stood by you when you did." They landed on an abandoned outpost, an old refueling station hidden deep within a hollowed moon. Leo guided them through the broken halls like he'd been there before. Maybe he had. He'd been to a lot of forgotten places in his life. He found supplies, patched their wounds, powered the station's main systems just enough for warmth and air. Aurelia explored the place in silence, tracing her fingers along the dusty metal walls, looking at old screens, faded maps, and photographs of people she never met. "This place feels familiar," she said. Leo didn't answer. Not yet. Days passed. They didn't talk much. Leo tried not to bring up the past, afraid it would only make things worse. Aurelia, meanwhile, began to dream. She never used to. But now, every night, she saw flashes of fire, silver light, laughter inside a broken ship, hands reaching for her through smoke, and a voice. His voice. "Don't forget me." One night, she found Leo working on a damaged data core. "You keep fixing things," she said quietly. Leo didn't look up. "It's what I do. Even when they're broken for good." He finally met her eyes. "Especially then." She stepped closer. "Did I matter to you?" Leo froze. "A lot," he said. Aurelia looked down at the ring again. "Why would I give this back to you? You didn't. Then why do I still have it?" Leo walked past her, heading toward the airlock. "Maybe some part of you remembers," he said, "even if your mind forgot." On the 5th day, The enemy returned. Not with warships. Not with weapons. With words. A drone floated outside the station, broadcasting a message in Aurelia's native language. She understood every word. Princess Aurelia, this is your final chance. Surrender peacefully. Your crimes will be erased. Your name restored. Your people forgive you. Leo stood beside her. What do they really want? She didn't answer right away. Then, they want to rewrite me. Turn me into someone I never was. And will you? Aurelia turned to him. I don't remember you. I don't remember what I stood for. But I know what kind of people erase the truth. And I won't be one of them. Leo nodded slowly, then handed her something. A small device, a backup memory log. She stared at it. What is this? Everything, Leo said. Everything you were. Everything we did. What you sacrificed. What we both did. Aurelia hesitated. If I watch this, I won't be able to pretend anymore. Leo smiled. Maybe that's the point. She watched it. In silence. Hour after hour. Their escape. Their fights. Their laughter. His words. Her tears. Their near-death moments. Their shared hope. When it ended, she sat there for a long time. Just breathing. Leo didn't come in. He let her process it. And finally, when she walked back to him, eyes shining with tears and something ancient behind them, she didn't say a word. She just hugged him. Tight. Like she'd never let go again. Outside, the enemy ships returned. But this time, they didn't find a girl who was lost. They found a woman who had chosen. Aurelia stepped forward, glowing with silver light that pulsed through the walls. You should have killed me when you had the chance, she said to the sky. Now mercy has turned to fire. The heart of the machine. The oldest truth in the galaxy wasn't power. It was choice. The stars had moved. Leo didn't know how long it had been since they escaped the outpost, but the map told him they were far, farther than any human had gone without a fleet behind them. They'd passed the edge of known space 2 systems ago. Now, they were flying through a place called the Veiled Corridor, a path hidden between dead stars, long forgotten by charts. It had no light, no sound, only whispering gravity fields and the bones of ships that had come too close to the silence. And yet, Aurelia was calm. More than calm, focused. She sat in the co-pilot's seat, her hands glowing gently as they guided the ship with more than just controls. Her memory was back. But something else had returned too. A quiet strength. Not the strength of royalty. Something older. Something sacred. Leo watched her for a moment. You know where we're going, he said. Not know, she replied. Feel. He nodded slowly. And what exactly are we feeling our way toward? Aurelia looked at him. The heart. Leo raised an eyebrow. Of what? Of everything. Hours later, the ship slowed as they reached a field of dark crystals floating like frozen clouds. In the center was a shape, not quite a planet, not quite a machine. It pulsed gently, like a sleeping heart. Leo leaned forward. What is that? This, she said softly, is where all knowledge of my people began, and where all of it was hidden. Why? Because they were afraid. Of what? What they found here. And what it said about you. Leo blinked. Me? Not you, exactly, she said. Your kind. They landed on the surface. The ground was smooth like glass, but warm under their boots. Patterns lit up where they walked, symbols moving like water across stone. The entrance opened on its own. Inside, the walls hummed with light. They weren't made of stone or metal, but something else, something alive, like memory frozen in time. As they walked deeper, Leo felt something stir in his chest. Not pain, not fear, something like recognition. They reached a chamber in the center. A massive floating sphere pulsed with blue light. Streams of data moved around it like rivers. and beneath it, a pedestal. Aurelia stepped forward. "This is the core of remembrance," she said. "It holds every secret our kind ever tried to erase." Leo stepped next to her. "Can it speak?" "It already is," she whispered. She placed her hand on the pedestal. The sphere reacted immediately. Beams of light shot outward, scanning the room. The air grew heavy with energy. Then the voice came. Not loud, not mechanical. Gentle, human detected. Leo's breath caught. Genetic match confirmed. Earth origin. Pattern recognized. Aurelia stared. "It knows you." Leo stepped back. "I've never been here." The voice continued. "You have come as expected, though later than hoped." Leo frowned. "What does that mean?" "Aurelia of the Selenary line. You have brought the key." She blinked. "The key." Leo looked at her. "Wait, you're the key." But the voice corrected them. "No, she is the guide. You are the key." Silence. Leo laughed once, nervously. "Me? I'm just a mechanic." "Precisely. A maker, a fixer, a believer. You are human. That is enough." Aurelia turned to him, her voice shaking. "Leo, your world was never just a backwater colony. Earth is older than they told us." The core projected a memory, an image of ancient Earth, long before cities. Strange machines walked the land. Humans with glowing hands worked beside beings of light and steel. Leo stepped closer to the image. "We had this before." "You still do," the voice said. "Hidden, buried, asleep." Aurelia whispered. "The Selenary believed they were the first race to touch the stars." "They were not," the core said. "They were students. The humans were teachers." Leo sat down slowly. "So what happened?" "You disappeared," the core said, "or were made to." For a long time, no one spoke. The weight of the truth sat on their shoulders like the silence of deep space. Leo finally asked, "Why does this matter now?" "Because the war is coming," the voice said. "Not between races, between ideas, between those who believe in control and those who believe in choice." Aurelia turned to Leo. "And you are living proof that mercy is stronger than fear." "So what do we do?" The core pulsed once more. "You awaken the legacy. You carry the seed of change. And when the stars burn again, you remind them. You are only human. They left the chamber, changed. Not with weapons, not with powers, but with truth. And sometimes that's all it takes to shake an empire." She never forgot his mercy. Some memories are more than history. They are destiny. The war didn't come in a single day. It came slowly, like a storm over the edge of the galaxy, silent at first, gathering in whispers, then roaring with the sound of collapsing stars. But by then, Aurelia and Leo were no longer running. They were ready. 2 weeks earlier, after leaving the heart of the machine, Leo and Aurelia vanished again, but not out of fear. This time, they were searching, with purpose. The core had revealed a network of old human outposts hidden across the galaxy. Buried cities, sealed libraries, machines waiting for someone with the right blood and the right soul. Leo had both. Together, they began unlocking them one by one. In an abandoned world carved into a hollow moon, they found a database holding records of first contact from 70,000 years ago. Proof that early humanity didn't just explore the stars. It changed them. On a gas giant's orbiting ring temple, they found a beacon that responded to Leo's presence. It broadcast a signal only certain species could hear. Aurelia called it the awakening note. And across the galaxy, small sparks began to flicker in minds that had long forgotten the idea of freedom. But power attracts enemies. And the empire Aurelia once called her own could no longer ignore the growing fire. A message arrived, broadcasted on every open channel in the sector. A voice she hadn't heard in years. "Aurelia Selenary, surrender the human. Surrender the core data. Your mercy has turned into rebellion. There will be no third chance. Leo watched her closely. They're scared of you now. Aurelia shook her head. They're scared of you. He smirked. I'm flattered. They chose to meet the Empire where it all began. The vault world of Kalis Prime. Aurelia's birth planet. A world so tightly controlled that even sunlight needed approval. They didn't arrive with ships or armies. Just one small vessel, built from pieces of Leo's old repair ship and tech reawakened by the ancient human network. It didn't look like much, but inside it pulsed something no empire could forge. Conviction. As they landed, thousands watched from the gleaming towers of the capital. Drones hovered. Soldiers surrounded the landing zone. High counselors stood waiting, cloaked in red and silver. Aurelia stepped out first, her head held high. Beside her, Leo. No crown, no weapons, only a ring glowing softly on her finger, and a memory too strong to erase. The grand voice of the high speaker thundered. You return not as heir, but as traitor. What do you seek? Aurelia raised her voice. Calm, steady. Truth and peace. Laughter rippled across the gathered leaders. Peace, the speaker echoed. Delivered by a broken human. Leo stepped forward. No, he said. Delivered by a fixed one. Silence. He pulled a small device from his coat, a memory crystal, activated by his fingerprint. Holograms erupted in the air above. Scenes of ancient humans and Selenari working side by side. Teaching, building, forgiving. Aurelia's voice joined his. Our past wasn't conquest, it was connection. And we forgot, but we remember now. A pause. Then a murmur through the crowd. Someone bowed. Then another. And another. Until even the soldiers slowly lowered their weapons. Not everyone accepted. Some screamed rebellion. A faction of loyalists launched ships. But this time, others stood in their way. Species long silenced answered the awakening note. Ships arrived from corners of the galaxy thought lost. Not for war, but for defense, for choice. The battle never began. Because the galaxy blinked, and then turned, toward a new idea. A dangerous one. One Leo had once spoken with a smile. Maybe kindness wins. Years later, the Council of Worlds was no longer led by a single race. Every species had a seat. Even Earth, no longer forgotten, was offered a place as the world that remembered mercy. And Aurelia, she never reclaimed her throne. She didn't want it. Instead, she wandered, teaching forgotten histories to the next generation, reminding them that strength without heart was just noise. And Leo, no one knows where he went. Some say he returned to Earth. Others say he became a myth, a symbol. But in Aurelia's personal chamber, in a small glass case, there sat a ring. Simple, handmade, still glowing with a faint silver light. And every morning she'd look at it and smile, because even if the stars forgot his name, she never forgot his mercy.